It is indeed with great pleasure that I can share with you some of the most fondest memories that I have had in the home of my aunt and uncle, MacDonald and Mary B. Hughes. Also, you will notice in the background that his great-great-grandchild is making a lot of noise. Also, we're putting a roof on the house, so forgive us for progress moving forward. But again, it's a delightful time for me to share these things with you and to look at the progress that we've made and to see where we're going in Tuscaloosa, and also to reflect back on how far we've come. I moved here in 1958-59 school year when my mother passed, who was the sister of my aunt. And it was really an experience to leave the big city, Cleveland, Ohio, and move to Tuscaloosa. But this wasn't anything new because I had played with Delitha Drake, Sandra and Leon, Lloyd. I can remember when there was a big house in the middle of Stillman campus. I can remember all of the things we used to do when they built Gulf States, and LaWanna and Skeet and I would go to the swimming pool every day. I can remember when Dr. Tyler finally had to come to the house on 30th Avenue to take care of me because I had something similar to what was not known then but is now known as strep throat. So I'd like to just share with you some things that as you look at this video, you'll realize that the Hugheses were not only professional people, but they were also family people. And although they never had children of their own, my children refer to them as Nanny and Granddaddy, and again, they are like a mother and a father to me. And Dr. Theodore Cone once said, had they have had children, they never would have made the mark. If they had birthed children, they never would have made the mark on all of us that they did and have made. So from this point on, I'd like to share with you the fun things that have happened in this home. Haven't changed it very much, and I've been laughing at Whit because I'm hoping the dust doesn't show up. I'm not a very good housekeeper, but basically I've left this home as it has been and always was. When my aunt died, I vowed that I would keep things as they were because Uncle Mac's fondest memories and dreams and thoughts were, I want to live on 32nd Avenue no matter what. And this is why he built the house back off the street. He says, no matter what progress comes to town, I have made my mark here, and I want to be here in Tuscaloosa, and I want to be here. And later on, they named this Stillman Boulevard. So from this point on, whichever way we want to take this interview and whatever you'd like for me to share with you, I'm ready to proceed. Thanks. In 1960, we left the house that belonged to the Board of Education on 30th Avenue. In fact, if you go over there now, you'll still see the steps in front of Lula Mary and Bernice Hudson. Those were my playmates. In fact, I belong to St. Mark now, and we laugh about how I used to ask, can Bernice and Lula Mary come outside and play? We moved here because my folks decided that they knew this would be their home and they no longer wanted to stay in the Board of Education's home. The picture that you're viewing here now was done by one of their favorite students who's a PhD student, who's an art professor in Ohio now, Henry Linton. And the interesting thing about this picture is that Mrs. Glenn, Mrs. Malden, I believe Mrs. Lillis Bell, all of them have pictures similar to this because Henry captured them at the moment. And by far, this is the way that I'll always remember them. And then the pictures that you're viewing here, just a hodgepodge of family. Again, I've left the house like it was. I'm not into house and home, and very satisfied with a 42-year-old home, leaving it just like it is, except for the roof and the plumbing and the things that you have to do. And this is also something I'm very, very proud of. I just received that several weeks ago. Uncle Mac was inducted into the Alabama Hall of Fame. The Civic Center here, well, not the Civic Center, Chamber of Commerce, just began its first inauguration. What makes me feel so good about this, out of 135 recipients or names that went in, narrowed it down to 50, he was unanimously voted into the Chamber Hall of Fame, along with Bear Bryant, Miss Maud Watley, and Uncle Mac were the only two blacks that were inducted. This will be a yearly thing. So to me, this says that what he left this town, it meant a lot. Just looking at the McDonald Hughes Center is great, but when you move beyond this neighborhood, it grows, and this is something that will always be here for posterity. And the rest, just the kids, the family, his son. He never had children, and again, my son John, he called that his boy, his son. Very, very fond of John, and John now lives in Houston, Texas. My daughter Karen lives down the street, and she has 3 children, and then one of them, the one that you hear that's howling in there, that's my youngest daughter's child. So the pictures that you're viewing here now, school days, 1939, 1940, and naturally they were wed as soon as they left Alabama State. That's where they met and became sweethearts. And the other pictures we cherish, and we leave them here for a reason. My youngest daughter, my Marine daughter, is now aircraft engineer, and this is after she finished her basic training. The reason I'm so proud of her, from the time she was 7 years old up, she would come up here because Mary had been bedridden for 14 years, and she would stay here with her and help to take care of her. So she has really done above and beyond her call of duty as a young person. And then the Playmate of the Year. Everybody worries about this. I did that at Six Flags, so it's legitimate. The first picture that you're viewing here, again, Uncle Mac and his son John, and I'm surprised there's not a dog on the picture, but they were in the front yard, and this is probably taken at graduation. The next picture that you're viewing, when he received his honorary doctoral degree from Stillman College, which was always the height of his pride. And naturally, Mary, that was his life, and she was in the Tuscaloosa News for one of her infamous cakes that she used to bake. Everybody knows about those cakes. Hosting the seniors here when we couldn't go anywhere else. They have 300 people over here, plus the mayor, to have a reception because we couldn't go anywhere else in Tuscaloosa. And this was a yearly event that we as seniors look forward to. What you're looking at now, junior senior prom, that was a highlight for all of us because this is the only thing that we had to do. And they were very, very proud of the mark that they made on hosting these events and seeing that as young people we did have somewhere to go. Here you see a picture of the dedication of the McDonald Hughes Center, of which he was very, very proud because this was indeed an honor. As you know, in Tuscaloosa, we have just a few places, and more being named after blacks that have done something for the city, but this is one of those early first achievements.